Dancing Pants. And now for the dancing pants, doing their fabulous dance. From the seat to the pleat, they will bounce to the beat, with no legs inside them and no feet beneath. They'll whirl and twirl and jiggle and prance, so start the music and give them a chance. Let's have a big hand for the wonderful, marvelous, super sensational, utterly fabulous, talented dancing pants. I won't hatch. Oh, I am a chickie who lives in an egg, but I will not hatch, I will not hatch. The hens they all cackle, the roosters all beg, but I will not hatch, I will not hatch. For I hear all the talk of pollution and war, as the people all shout and the airplanes roar. So I'm staying in here where it's safe and it's warm, and I will not hatch. With his mouth full of food. Milford Dupree, though he knew it was rude, talked with his mouth full of food. He never would burp or walk out in the nude, but he talked with his mouth full of food. His mother said, "Milford, it's crude and it's lewd to talk with your mouth full of food." Why, even the milk cow who mooed as she chewed never mooed with her mouth full of food, and the cuckoo would never have ever cuckooed if he could with his mouth full of food. His dad said, "Get married or get tattooed, but don't talk with your mouth full of food." If it was a crime, you would surely get sued if you talked with your mouth full of food. Why, just like an animal, you should be zooed as you talk with your mouth full of food. For you know we're all put in a terrible mood when you talk with your mouth full of food. They pleaded and begged. He just giggled and chewed and laughed with his mouth full of food. And all they advised him, he simply pooh-poohed. He pooh-poohed with his mouth full of food. So they sent for the gluer and had his mouth glued, 'cause he talked with his mouth full of food. Now instead of good morning, he says, "Good morning, I will talk with my mouth full of food." My hobby. When you spit from the 26th floor and it floats on the breeze to the ground, does it fall upon hats or on white Persian cats or on heads with a pitty-pat sound? I used to think life was a bore, but I don't feel that way anymore, as I count up the hits and I smile as I sit, as I spit from the 26th floor. Instructions. If you should ever choose to bathe an armadillo, use 1 bar of soap and a whole lot of hope, and 72 pads of Brillo. The worst. When singing songs of scariness, of bloodiness and hairiness, I feel obligated at this moment to remind you of the most ferocious beast of all, 3,000 pounds and 9 feet tall, the glurpy slurpily skakagral, who's standing right behind you. The bagpipe who didn't say no. It was 9 o'clock at midnight at 3:15, when a turtle met a bagpipe on the shoreside by the sea, and the turtle said, "My dearie, may I sit with you? I'm weary." And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "I have walked this lonely shore, I have talked to waves and pebbles, but I've never loved before. Will you marry me today, dear? Is it no you're going to say, dear?" But the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to his darling, "Please excuse me if I stare, but you have the plattest skin, dear, and you have the strangest hair. If I begged you pretty please, love, could I give you just one squeeze, love?" And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "Oh, you love me, then confess. Let me whisper in your dainty ear and hold you to my chest." And he cuddled her and teased her, and so lovingly he squeezed her. And the bagpipe said, "Ooga." Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "Did you honk or bray or neigh? For auga, when you're kissed, is such a heartless thing to say. Is it that I have offended? Is it that our love has ended?" And the bagpipe didn't say no. Said the turtle to the bagpipe, "Shall I leave you, darling wife? Shall I waddle off to Woden? Shall I crawl out of your life? Shall I move, depart, and go, dear? Oh, I beg you, tell me, no, dear." But the bagpipe didn't say no. So the turtle crept off crying, and he ne'er came back no more. And he left the bagpipe lying on that smooth and sandy shore. And some night, when the tide is low there, Just walk up and say, "Hello there," and politely ask the bagpipe if this story's really so. I assure you, darling children, that the bagpipe won't say no. The longest nose in the world belongs to Miss Betsy Bluebonnet, who lets me write things on it. Rudy Felsch. Rudy Felsch knows how to belch better than anyone ever did. Margot says that Rudy Felsch is a nasty, vulgar kid. Someday he will go to hell or jail or Canada, but now, every night I pray that first Rudy Felsch will show me how. Fred? From out of the cold Caribbean into the desert Libyan there crawled a strange amphibian, and we shall call him Fred. You say let's call him Ted or maybe Lou or Jed, but I want to call him Fred. You like Maurice instead, or Barnaby, or Red, or Lucifer, or Ned? Well, anyway, he's dead. The long-haired boy. There was a boy in our town with long hair. I mean, really long hair. And everybody pointed at him and laughed at him and made fun of him. And when he walked down the street, the people would roar and stick their tongues out and make funny faces and run in and slam their door and shout at him from the window until he couldn't stand it any more. So he sat down and cried till his whole body shook, and pretty soon his hair shook too, and it flapped and flapped, and he lifted and flew straight up in the air like a helicopter. Jenny Ricks saw him and dropped her knitting and screamed, "It's a flying kid!" Lukey Hastings ran and hid under Old Man Merrill's car. Miss Terrence fainted. Henry Quist tried to shoot him down but missed. "I thought he was a crow," he said, and round he sailed all through the day, smiling in the strangest way. With the wind in his hair and the sun in his eyes, we saw him swoop and bank and rise. He brushed the treetops and skimmed the grass on Yerby's lawn and almost crashed right into Hanson's silo, but zoomed up in time and almost hit the courthouse. Old Man Cooley bit right through his napkin when he saw a kid fly through the diner door and out of the window, tipping the ladder where Smokey was painting. He almost had a heart attack. He clung to a rafter. The kid flew on us, running after, cheering and sweating and screaming, "Hooray!" Mayor Lowry shouted, "Hey, come down here, kid. We'd like to say how proud of you we are today. Whoever thought our little town would have a hero in it? So I'd like to proclaim this day. Hey, kid, will you please come down for just a minute?" But the flying kid did not come down. He treaded air above the town, sort of crying and looking down at all of us here on the ground. Then up he flew up into the clouds, flapping and flying so far and high, out past the hills and into the sky, until a tiny speck against the sun was all we could see of him. Then he was gone. Band-Aids. I have a Band-Aid on my finger. One on my knee and one on my nose, one on my heel and two on my shoulder, 3 on my elbow and 9 on my toes, 2 on my wrist and 1 on my ankle, 1 on my chin and 1 on my thigh, 4 on my belly and 5 on my bottom, 1 on my forehead and 1 on my eye, 1 on my neck, and in case I might need them, I have a box full of 35 more. But, oh, I do think it's sort of a pity I don't have a cut or a sore. Dreadful. Someone ate the baby. It's rather sad to say. Someone ate the baby, so she won't be out to play. We'll never hear her whiny cry, or have to feel if she is dry. We'll never hear her asking why. Someone ate the baby. Someone ate the baby, it's absolutely clear. Someone ate the baby 'cause the baby ain't here. We'll give away her toys and clothes. We'll never have to wipe her nose. Dad says, well, that's the way it goes. Someone ate the baby. Someone ate the baby. What a frightful thing to eat. Someone ate the baby, though she wasn't very sweet. It was a heartless thing to do. The policemen haven't got a clue. I simply can't imagine who would go and eat the baby. Skinny. Skinny McGuinn was so terribly thin that while taking his bath Sunday night, out popped the plug and sloosh, swoosh, and glug, glug. It washed Skinny right down the drain out of sight. And where is our dear Skinny bathing tonight? In some underground pool down below? Or up there so high in that tub in the sky where all of the clean people go. The Land of Happy. Have you been to the Land of Happy, where everyone's happy all day, where they joke and they sing of the happiest things, and everything's jolly and gay, there's no one unhappy and happy, there's laughter and smiles galore? I've been to the Land of Happy. What a bore. Pirate Captain Jim. Walk the plank, says Pirate Jim. But Captain Jim, I cannot swim. Then you must steer us through the gale. But Captain Jim, I cannot sail. Then down with the galley slaves you go. But Captain Jim, I cannot row. Then you must be the pirate's clerk. But Captain Jim, I can't work. Then a pirate captain you must be. Thank you, Jim, says Captain Me. Fish? The little fish eats the tiny fish. The big fish eats the little fish. So only the biggest fish get fat. Do you know any folks like that? If the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd eat? A big slice of soup and a whole quart of meat, a lemonade sandwich, and then I might try some roasted ice cream or a bicycle pie. A nice notebook salad and underwear roast, an omelet of hats, and some crisp cardboard toast. A thick malted milkshake made from pencils and daisies, and that's what I'd eat if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd wear? A chocolate suit and a tie of eclair, some marshmallow earmuffs and some licorice shoes, and I'd read a paper of peppermint news. I'd call the boys Susie and I'd call the girls Harry. I'd talk through my ears, but I would always carry a paper umbrella for when it grew hazy to keep in the rain if the world was crazy. If the world was crazy, you know what I'd do? I'd walk on the ocean and swim in my shoe. I'd fly through the ground and I'd skip through the air. I'd run down the bathtub and bathe in the stair. When I met someone, I'd say, "Goodbye, Joe." And when I was leaving, then I'd say hello. And the greatest of men would be silly and lazy. So I would be king if the world was crazy. Stone telling. How do we tell if a window is open? Well, just throw a stone at it. Does it make a noise? It doesn't? Well, it was open. Now let's try another. Whoosh. It wasn't. Chester. Chester comes to school and said, "Darn, I growed another head." Teacher said, "It's time you knowed. The word is grew instead of growed." The silver fish. While fishing in the blue lagoon, I caught a lovely silver fish. And he spoke to me. "My boy," quoth he, "please set me free and I'll grant your wish. A kingdom of wisdom, a palace of gold, or all the goodies your fancies can hold." So I said, "Okay," and I threw him free. And he swam away and he laughed at me, whispering my foolish wish into a silent sea. Today I caught that fish again, that lovely silver prince of fishes, and once again he offered me, if I would only set him free, any one of a number of wonderful wishes. He was delicious. Forgotten language. Once I spoke the language of the flowers. Once I understood each word the caterpillar said. Once I smiled in secret at the gossip of the starlings, and shared a conversation with the housefly in my bed. Once I heard and answered all the questions of the crickets, and joined the crying of each falling, dying flake of snow. Once I spoke the language of flowers. How did it go? How did it go? The Generals. Said General Clay to General Gore, "Oh, must we fight the silly war? To kill and die is such a bore." "I quite agree," said General Gore. Said General Gore to General Clay, "We could go to the beach today and have some ice cream on the way." "A grand idea," said General Clay. Said General Clay to General Gore, "We'll build sand castles on the shore." Said General Gore, "We'll splash and play." "Let's leave right now," said General Clay. Said General Gore to General Clay, But what if the sea is closed today? And what if the sand's been blown away? A dreadful thought, said General Clay. Said General Gore to General Clay, I've always feared the ocean's spray, and we must drown, it's true, we may. Oh, it chills my blood, said General Clay. Said General Clay to General Gore, my bathing suit is slightly tore. We'd better go on with our war. I quite agree, said General Gore. Then General Clay charged General Gore, as bullets flew and cannons roared. And now, alas, there is no more of General Clay or General Gore. Just me, just me. Sweet Marie, she loves just me. Well, she also loves Maurice McGee. No, she don't. She loves just me. She also loves Louis Dupree. No, she don't. She loves just me. She also loves the willow tree. No, she don't. She loves just me. Poor, poor fool. Why can't you see? She can love others and still love thee. Standing. Standing on my elbow with my finger in my ear, biting on a dandelion and humming kind of queer, while I watched a yellow caterpillar creeping up my wrist, I leaned on a tree and I said to me, Hey, why am I doing this? The One Who Stayed. You should have heard the old man cry, you should have heard the biddies, when that sad stranger raised her flute and piped away the kiddies. Katie, Tommy, Meg, and Bob followed skipping gaily, red-haired Ruth, my brother Rob, and little crippled Bailey. John and Nils and Cousin Claire dancin', spinnin', turnin', crossed the hills to God knows where. They never came returnin'. Crossed the hills to God knows where the piper pranced a-leading, each child in Hamlin town but me, and I stayed home unheedin'. My papa says that I was blessed, for if that music found me, I'd be witchcast like all the rest. This town grows old around me. I cannot say I did not hear that sound so haunting hollow. I heard it clear. I was afraid to follow. Melinda May. Have you heard of tiny Melinda May, who ate a monstrous whale? She thought she could, she said she would, so she started in right at the tail. And everyone said, You're much too small. But that didn't bother Melinda at all. She took little bites, and she chewed very slow, just like a good girl should. And in 89 years, she ate that whale, because she said she would. The Little Blue Engine. The little blue engine looked up at the hill. His light was weak, his whistle was shrill. He was tired and small, and the hill was tall, and his face blushed red, and he softly said, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. So he started up with a chug and a strain, and he puffed and pulled with might and main, and slowly he climbed a foot at a time, and his engine coughed as he whispered soft, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. With a squeak and a creak and a toot and a sigh, with an extra hope and an extra try, he would not stop, now he neared the top, and strong and proud he cried out loud, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. He was almost there when crash, smash, bash! He slid down and smashed into engine hash on the rocks below, which goes to show, if the track is tough and the hill is rough, thinking you can just ain't enough. Afraid of the Dark. I'm Reginald Clark. I am afraid of the dark. So I always insist on the light on, and my teddy to hug, and my blanket to rub, and my thummy to suck on or bite on. And 3 bedtime stories, 2 trips to the toilet, 2 prayers, and 5 hugs for my mommy. I'm Reginald Clark. I'm afraid of the dark. So please do not close this book on me. Hungry Mungry. Hungry Mungry sat at supper, took his knife and spoon and fork, ate a bowl of mushroom soup, ate a slice of roasted pork, ate a dozen stewed tomatoes, 27 deviled eggs, 15 shrimps, 9 baked potatoes, 32 fried chicken legs, a shank of lamb, a boiled ham, 2 bowls of grits, some black-eyed peas, 4 chocolate shakes, 8 angel cakes, 9 custard pies with Munster cheese, 10 pots of tea, and after he had eaten all that was on the table, he poured some broth on the tablecloth and ate the kitchen table. His parents said, "Oh, Hungry Mungry, stop these silly jokes." Mungry opened up his mouth and, gulp, he ate his folks. And then he went and ate his house and all the bricks and wood, and then he ate up all the people in the neighborhood. Up came 20 angry policemen shouting, "Stop and cease!" Mungry opened up his mouth and, he ate the police. Soldiers came with tanks and guns, said Mungry, "They can't harm me." He just smiled and licked his lips and ate the U.S. Army. The president sent all his bombers. Mungry still was calm, put his head back, gulped the planes, and gobbled up the bomb. He ate his town and ate the city, ate and ate and ate. And then he said, "Well, I think I'll eat the whole United States." So he ate Chicago first and munched the water tower, and then he chewed on Pittsburgh, but he found it rather sour. He ate New York and Tennessee and all of Boston town, then drank the Mississippi River just to wash it down. And when he'd eaten every state, each puppy, boy, and girl, he wiped his mouth upon his sleeve and went to eat the world. He ate the Egypt pyramids and every church in Rome, and all the grass in Africa, and all the ice in Nome. He ate each hill in green Brazil, and then to make things worse, he decided for dessert, he'd eat the universe. He started with the moon and stars, and soon as he was done, he gulped the clouds and sipped the wind and gobbled up the sun. Then, sitting there in the cold, dark air, he started to nibble his feet, then his legs, then his hips, then his neck and his lips, till he sat there just gnashing on his teeth, 'cause nothing was nothing, was nothing, was nothing, was nothing was left to eat. My beard. My beard grows to my toes, I never wears no clothes. I wraps my hair around my bear, and down the road I goes. Mary. No one's hanging stockings up, no one's baking pie, no one's looking up to see a new star in the sky, no one's talking brotherhood, no one's giving gifts, and no one loves a Christmas tree on March the 25th. The Search. I went to find the pot of gold that's waiting where the rainbow ends. I searched and searched and searched and searched and searched and searched, and then there it was, deep in the grass, under an old and twisty bough. It's mine! It's mine! It's mine at last! What do I search for now?